Hi, everybody. I'm Michael. Before I get started, I just wanted to see, does anyone heard of Bird's Barbershop in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get a car. You get a car. Okay. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to be explaining what Bird's Barbershop is along the way. So this is myself in the creative outfit, and that's Jason, already destined to be the financial side of a business, when we were teenagers or something like that. So we've known each other much longer than that, since we were kids. We've known each other a long time. We're only gonna have a couple of slides here, so we're just gonna kind of talk around some stuff and give you our story, take some questions, and that's when we'll really get to the heart of it, I think. So team up or fail, this is a quintessential part of how we were created, how our culture goes, how we do business. So we're right brain, left brain. I'm still not sure which is which, but I'm marketing, Jason's operations. I build stores, Jason deals with people. So we're very binary in that we know what falls where. So as we kind of get into things, I think it's important to know that we're a team ourselves, and that translates to everything in a very authentic way. Some of you I'm not sure about what the background a lot of you is, but for those starting a small business or already have a small business, Jason and I have ventured down a path of manufacturing, which doesn't have a lot of employees. Obviously, this is a very employee-intensive business. Salons, we have over 150 employees, even just here in Austin. But being so having so many employees makes us very employee-minded and focused. And we used to be employees ourselves. So that said, like I said, right brain, left brain. I'll give you the quick up until we made Birds happen moment, and then I'll leave it to Mr. Operations to tell you how it works. Jason and I grew up together, went off to college, ended up being kind of close to each other on the East Coast, and wound up Jason doing finance on Wall Street. I ended up on the West Coast in Los Angeles trying to break into Hollywood as a writer. I was writing for Disney at the time, for executives. So I was a corporate speechwriter, and Jason was a Wall Street trader. So we have no idea how to cut hair whatsoever. We ended up always being friends, always talking to each other. I'll give a quick aside that's my own experience that sort of informed my future partnership ability. And that was when I was in Los Angeles. I was a screenwriter, or thought I was going to be one. And I had another partner, and he works here in town. He owns an ad agency, and he's a great guy. And we're really good friends, but we both did the same thing well. And we both patted each other's back, and then we both finished the script and said, all right, well, I have another idea. But nobody was going to go sell the idea. Nobody wanted to really go sit in the meetings. Nobody wanted to do the other 90% of the work that was involved. And I think it was an early learning experience for me, learning by doing, which we do a lot of, that, team up or fail is really, like I said, to the heart of what we do. Teaming up doesn't mean teaming up with people who are just like you, have all your interests, who majored the same with you in the same fraternity or whatever. It's about different perspectives coming together and trusting those things. So I wound up in Austin, Texas, having moved from the West Coast. Jason had just got here, or hadn't just got here, he'd been here a year or two, owned a Quiznos franchise. So he knew about cash registers, that kind of thing. And I just knew that I was ready for a break. And I came to Jason's apartment, and Jason's very entrepreneurial minded. And so am I, but didn't know it yet. And I just started asking him stuff about Austin. This is Austin 2006. So a lot of the immediate answers aren't available, or are available to you now that weren't at that time. Where do I go to get my grocery shopping? Where do I go to meet girls? Where do I go to where do I get a haircut? And then that was kind of met with well, there's the chains and there's the salons. And I said, well, really, this is Austin, Texas. I've kind of been around, and there's other ways, and this is the music capital of the world, whatever they called it at the time, the live music capital of the world. And it doesn't have a fresh take on arguably the most ancient profession of all time. And that in itself got Jayson thinking. I got home, there were still answering machines at the time. I pressed play, and Jayson said, remember that barbershop salon thing you were talking about? We should do that. So with that, I handed over to Jayson. So that was
No.
It's on 2005.
So from there, Michael didn't ask me about girls because he was married, I don't think.
That's true.
Where to meet girls.
Everything else.
I wasn't married.
My wife was actually there.
His wife was there. But
She told the same story.
oh, she did.
Yeah, she was there. So
She was there. Yeah. Just to correct that, because it's on camera. So basically, what started going down is the story that you've read about and watched a million times of going down the path of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business, which boils down to essentially solving problems. And I feel like that's really what business is, and you have to be excited to do that every day because nobody really comes into your office every day with really great news. It's usually problems. And so the problem we had was we thought we had a great idea, and lots of people have really great ideas, but how do we execute on it? What is it? What does it look like? All of those things, and that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort, and especially when you have a day job. And so solving problems, and the second part is energy, and that's what I always tell people who are thinking about doing things is that you really have to have a lot of energy and persevere. And you've heard that all a million times, but it's really true, especially when you're going to do something that's maybe a little bit different. The salon category is very big, so I wasn't inventing anything new. It's a $50 billion market, employs over 1 million people, but just trying to do it differently, and especially coming from the perspective of two guys who don't cut hair. So basically the story is, once we sort of agreed that this might be something that would work here in Austin. Austin is a great place to start a business. The local guy gets the first shot. If you don't execute or it sucks, no one will come back. But if you do, make a great cup of coffee or, make a great haircut or whatever, people will come back and see you. So we did a lot of things. I posed as a franchisee to Sport Clips just to see if it was possible, because we thought one of us was going to have to go to barber school, which was scary, but we would just do it. But what we quickly learned was the best operators don't cut hair, right? Operators, people who cut hair in open salons, typically, not always, but they have a hard time seeing the forest from the trees. And so what we learned was early on that we would be able to operate a barbershop, a salon, and concentrate on the things that are really important, like getting people to come inside. And once they come inside, having a great experience. And so that took about a year. We did it, and I tell people to do this all the time. We wrote a business plan. We wrote an old-fashioned business plan where we downloaded a template, where we felt like we hashed out what this thing would look like. We figured out branding and names and sort of what it would look like real estate-wise. And then we went to banks, and it's pretty funny because I was just looking on this sheet. We went to a Meet the Lender from City of Austin, a Meet the Lender event, because we went to 9 banks and they all said no. Very typical story, right? They kick you out, right? What do you guys know about this? You're never going to do it. And we weren't asking for a lot of money, right? Small footprint, 1,200 square feet, a bathroom, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't anything really intricate. But everybody said no. Everyone said we're nuts. I don't know if they said we're nuts, but everyone said no. But we went and we met a lender who bought in, and we opened our first store. And so, we opened our first store. It was super exciting.
Let's give you a new slide.
Oh, yes. And nobody came, which was super fun. That was tons of fun. But what we quickly learned was that Michael and I don't cut hair. We're in the service business. And what's going to be really important, if this is going to work, is to make sure that we take care of the people that are actually doing what we do, which is cut hair. And so I think pretty early on we decided that regardless of how busy or slow it was going to be really important to have a sort of different philosophy on how to employ a barber or a hairdresser. And I won't get into the backstory of how barbers and hairdressers work and what it's like to work in salons. There's all sorts of issues. There's lots of drama. There's non-compete agreements. There's lots of friction, and it really shouldn't, we felt like it shouldn't be that way. So fast forward a few years.
So just to, two guys not coming from hair, the benefit of that is that you see everything through fresh eyes. So why aren't salons open on Mondays? That's silly. Why aren't they open on Sundays? That's more silly. Why is there so much drama? And why does everybody hate working at the salons, but they have to? And why do they hate renting? So all these things Jason's saying, we're just saying, well, duh, we'll be open 7 days a week. We'll give a commission structure. We'll put in a no drama clause into the when you can get written up for drama, basically, in our place. So what we created, I think, we wanted to become, we created Birds in the image of something that we would want. What do we want out of a place to get a haircut? And it really came down to one thing. We want it to be fun instead of a chore. So we don't want it to be on this list, we want it to be on this list. And that's a very basic thing for something that happens every 6 weeks to everyone in the world. So as a result, we became very focused very early on inclusiveness. Maybe it's just our bent, but when we wanted to create this place, we didn't want it to be a place only for dudes. So Bird's Barbershop, it's always going to be a challenge for us to convince women that they can come here. But from the beginning, we were a barbershop for everyone. We say the party's more fun when everyone's invited. And that's kind of our ethos going. So that translates into, and I'll let Jason take it from here because it's really his bailiwick, but we become a refuge for employees who have been living in this drama. Oh my gosh, the guy who owns the place, all he does is talk about his Corvette, and he's, it's like all day long, and it's just like killing you, these jobs. We had both worked jobs that we hated. We were experts at hating jobs. So it was also an exercise in creating a place that we would want to go to work.
Yeah, and so so about a year into the business, we realized actually we were onto something, and so we can get into all sorts of stuff, but the unit economics of a barbershop or of a salon are pretty great, and we knew that if we wanted to be hair moguls and grow ponytails, that we would have to expand, and so we didn't really want to do that, but. So we looked into opening another location, and with that came all the challenges and problem solving of being multi-unit, having different landlords, being in a different part of town, understanding what it meant to market to different neighborhoods. And so all of those things, but along the way, as we opened up number 2, 3, and 4, we realized that we're very much focused on the quality of what comes out of barbershop, what comes out of Birds, but you don't necessarily have to be the best to be people's favorite, right? It's about how you make people feel. And so again, that started us down another sort of theme where it was really important that we were taking care of everybody, right? And so we soon developed this employees first idea where our employees come before our customers and our clients. And so like, I don't know if you hear about, Jeff Bezos at Amazon and how, how fanatic they are about the customer. And for them, they live in the customer world, and you can be focused on all sorts of things, business focused, competitor focused. They choose to be customer focused. And obviously the customer and client is very important to us, right? They pay the bills. But in a service business like ours, and kind of like any other service business, even like a lawyer or a doctor or whatever the case may be, where you have a lot of people doing the work for you, if you make them first, sort of everything else takes care of everything else. People say, people who are, business owners, they're like, I'm a job creator. And I'm like, well, our clients are the job creators, because if they didn't come in, I wouldn't be able to hire anybody. So it's kind of like that symbiotic relationship, and where they're both really important, but we lean more towards the employee, and that's worked really well for us. And that's how we developed our culture. That's how we made people happy to come to work. That's how we've been this refuge. We're just doing things a little bit differently. And so at Birds, we want to see everyone flourish. And so we have people that have worked for us that have left and started their own salons. We have some that have started concepts similar to ours. There's a concept in Nashville called Scout's Barbershop. And she just opened up her fourth barbershop. And it's amazing to see that. But on the very simple premise that it just makes people feel good to go there. And it doesn't feel like it's in a strip mall, and it doesn't feel like it's a high-end salon, and it's in the middle, and it fits a certain demographic. So I think with that.
Benefits too. The kind of benefits we offer are not, in the the specifics. I mean, if you're an employee, actually a lot of stylists aren't employees of anything. They're renting their chair. They're paying a couple $100 a month to this person who's basically a landlord, and they get no support. So they don't get people in the door. They don't change the filters. They really have no health insurance. All the extras of life, they don't know how, marketing, all that stuff sort of falls by the wayside, and you do your job and you do your job. So I think that there's a lot of enticement to get talent to come work for cheap, basically. And I know if my dad was in the room, $25 haircut will never happen in a million years. But to a lot of the rest of us, getting that with a beer and enjoying 45 minutes of your life is really nice. So we're able to get really high standard talent that maybe is used to spending $100 or charging $100 for their service, but you have to realize that $100 service came with a bunch of BS fees that they just, $50 of it, they just had to hand over to even get there, right? To even get that client in the door. So we spend a lot of focus on that. Our employees are front and center in what we do. It's a mix of our social, our own in-house campaign. There are our own people on the side. We tend to, that campaign, the iBirds Austin, was a response to a competitor coming in town that stuck. But we've really focused things on, hey, we've had all these neat clients in our ads. Like, our people are fascinating. I mean, fascinating. I mean, don't even get me started on each single one of those. But it's really interesting when you provide that. I mean, I've never worked at a place, like, I don't know about you, but before starting my own business, it was just sort of a universal thing that everybody hates their jobs. That's just like how it is. It's a 4-letter word, etc. That simple thing of saying no, and a haircut's a pleasant experience. Maybe delivering that experience should be pleasant, and then it sort of all kind of came together after that by taking the most simple assumptions, I would say, and questioning them. I think that's like where all the decisions that follow are very operational and sort of come up, but it's really stepping back and challenging, disruptive, whatever word you want to use.
We're really on trend now, right? Because all retail now is, everything is supposed to be experiential, right? And so like all the retailers are trying to figure out ways to make it about an experience. And salons have been experiential their whole lives. And so we didn't think of that, but that's exactly what coming to Birds is. You still have to cross the threshold, come inside. You can't be Amazonified, just yet. No drone will cut your hair. So we have that advantage, which is great, but we don't take it lightly. So we know that if you're going to come in, if you're going to get in the car and drive, that we've got to do something good for you. And so that's sort of been the roadmap. That's been the roadmap.
Yeah, and we actually wrote the roadmap and included in our orientation packet. This is after, I don't know, half dozen years in business. And Jason inevitably probably read some business book and said, we need a thing like this. And that's what happened. So here we are, and we really boiled it down. And we've really been talking about a lot of these themes, but I'll just go through them. I hate it when people read their slides, but I'm going to do that. So these are our 6 things, and there's a 7th that I'll end with. So unity, we're all equals. Jason and I share an office. We stare at each other. There's hundreds of people everywhere. Nobody gets the king treatment. That's a big thing in salons. You got the queen bee, and then you got everybody else. It's none of that. Quality, cuts first, everything else last. Inclusive, we've been talking about that. Don't care your race, your gender, your anything, whether you're an employee. If you do good work, you do good work. Convenience, we're all about the person who doesn't deal with appointments and all the schmanciness. We're for them. Refuge, it goes both ways. For employees, from all the garbage that they don't like about salons, employees and clients, both ways. And collaboration, we charge less by working together and making more out of each penny. And then the last one, and this is one we really hammer home, is that kind of the stuff we're known for is last to us. So the free beer and the cool environment and the curated music and the art and the stuff that we're just working tirelessly on all the time and always making capital improvements comes last, because the quality and the people more than anything are first. So That's our employees first, and everything comes after thing. Any questions?
Okay, we have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Questions. So you said that you offer your employees benefits, health benefits, and how long did it take you to get to that point? First of all, especially with a price point so low, because I'm sort of in a similar situation where I keep the price point low, so everybody's really busy. But then it's like I only have one spot, so we can only be. I can only.
Well,
offer so
ACA
many.
and having more than 50 employees made it.
Having more than 50
Yeah.
employees. Yeah.
But we had to raise our prices. Yep. Yeah. And so what we tried to do was raise them in such a way that we sort of anticipated what healthcare gets more expensive every year, and try to do it only one time. And so, but you have to sacrifice some margin, to do that. But
we also looked at it as an opportunity, right? So we raised the prices. We also used an opportunity to tell so we kind of, okay, on this date, we're going to do it. 2 months-ish before, everybody that was getting a haircut, we would warn them that the next time they came in, they were going to, and use that as an opportunity to deliver the message, we're giving health insurance to everybody, rainbows, unicorns, right? Yeah. And here's a coupon that will give you the same price next time because you're so special to me. But really using it as an opportunity to deliver the message that comes back to, miraculously, the title of the talk, that we're employees first here, and they matter to us.
And I'm always.
And that's something a customer can get
Yeah,
behind.
I'm very frightened to raise prices. I'm more lean towards lowering prices. I feel like if I can, as we scale and get all sorts of efficiencies. But we heard nothing from anybody. Not a peep. Not a peep. Yeah. And so we were very surprised. We were bracing for a lot of pushback. But because of what it was going towards, and Austin is maybe a friendly city or sympathetic when it comes to that. So I don't know if it would have been different if we were Dallas or Houston based or Phoenix, whatever. But people were okay paying $3 extra because we're upping insurance. Well, so we raised first, so we're dragging our competitors up to us. We started at 19 when we opened. We're at 25 now for a men's cut. For a woman, we started at 39, and we're at 45. And yeah, no, they kind of follow us all the way up. Those guys are low. Those guys are lower. They're about $10 below us now. We try to be closer to them. For us, it's what we always envisioned too, as a concept, was this pricing structure that would sort of be in the middle, because we love the idea of trade up, trade down, right? So you trade up when you feel good, and it's a couple extra bucks, and you can go to Birds. And then if you're on the salon side and things are not going so great, you can trade down to us. And so we didn't want to be just aspirational, and we didn't want to be just the lowest price and compete.
We're a lot of people, women and men. We're the haircut in between the expensive haircut, the maintenance haircut. We take that role with open arms. Like, that's fine. That's fine.
Question. When you talk about employees first and you're talking about the cost there, I'm in a very heavy employee-based business as well, and I find that when you offer the benefits like the health insurance, in the long run, it cuts down like the employee turnover rate. So you're saving costs on hiring, HR, turnover cost, all those that are incurred with that. You're spending a little bit more on the front end. Is that kind of?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a hard time seeing strategically like that. For me, I sort of very much live in the present, and so it was a big, our. The bill for our health insurance bill is almost $200,000 a year, and so I have a hard time seeing it that way. But yes, it's especially because I'm in an industry where nobody offers health insurance.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's
a big selling point, and thankfully, so far at least, we haven't seen anything really crazy in terms of premium spikes. But I don't know. Every year is going to be different. But yeah, it's beneficial. It makes for happier employees, healthier employees actually, and it's a recruitment tool. And so, even if ACA was ripped to shreds, which is what's apparently happening, we will keep it now, because it's just a part of what we do. It's part of how we hire. It's part of, we have men and women who have families now, and they insure their children and whatnot. And so that would not be employee first if I were to take that away.
And
Yeah.
is it a certain amount of hours they have to work to receive it?
Yeah, so the ACA definition is 30 hours a week, and so that's what it is. We follow it. It used to be 35, I believe they lowered it to 30, but so full-time, which used to be 40, is now 30, or at Bird's 30. So yeah, that and 3 months, you have to work for 3 months and then you can get it. Go ahead.
I could ask a question about that. What do you do when you find that you have a team? My team's small, it's about 15, and I have those that are super appreciative and just love working there and are constantly positive, and then I'll have a couple that are just never satisfied.
Fire 'em.
Really?
Fire. I mean, what?
But like if
Hire-
they're really
no?
good, I mean, it's expensive to rehire.
It's expensive to rehire. I don't know. This is on tape.
And I'm
But
Hire slow, fire fast.
hire slow, fire fast. So that's what I was trying to get the words out of my mouth. We have had over 11 years in business, especially in our back office. So many, I mean, especially everywhere, but so many legacy employees, right? Well, they were here when I was sick and then they gave me a ride in the end. You know, there's so many like reasons and you come up with all of them. And I think that as we sort of grew and got more big boy pants,
Yes.
and people didn't get so big boy pants along with us, it was kind of like, it's big boy time and like we're now a big boy place.
Yeah.
And so every time we have really, and we don't fire a lot. I mean, in fact, Jason and I fire very little. Our back office is 8-ish people. So those are really our direct reports. Every time we're just like, oh my gosh, why didn't we do that 2 years ago? You know, so I don't mean to fire those people, but like, you know, I really do think that a lot of that comes with, and you may be experiences, that legacy thing. Well, I was here when, you know, the snacks were free or whatever.
And it's it's like it's not really much of a growing thing, but it is sort of the.
It's a bad apple thing.
And I am in a very similar situation. It's a massage therapy business. I'll just out myself.
Sure, your service. So it's very, very similar.
Yes,
actually.
and people get really attached to certain people, and our turnover is really bad for the business. And then it's a lot of women, so it's a lot of up and down. And so, you know, you kind of want to be like, oh, they're just having a bad day. So of course, they're just going to just let them talk to me like that. Like,
Just don't play the game.
yeah.
I mean, just don't play the
so
game.
tricky sometimes. And then you'll have, you know, 10 out of the 11 or whatever that are just like, I love it here. This is the best place ever. And I work my ass off to try to make them happy. And I've been in the industry for 20 years, so I know what it's like to work in other places that are crap.
Right.
So, anyways.
No, new
just
employees
feel
are
like it's
new employees always think you're the best. Always. We experience that every day.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
That's what be so small too. And then
So you have 15. Well, I mean, you have a small team, so I mean, you can feel if those 2 or 3 are affecting the rest that are positive. And so if that's honestly the case, then you just have to have, you know, more direct communication with them and let them know that, you know, what they're doing is detrimental to the team, and you're not going to let that happen. I would just say I would give them more. We do 3 write-ups. We do it like preschool, you know, because you have to be direct and you have to let them know that their job is in jeopardy if things don't change. And it's not subjective, it's objective. It's like, you're doing this, I can see you do this. And so we try to follow that, but it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Yeah,
especially
once,
for people
once
that
we
have been
get
with
in
us
our
for a long time.
minds that someone's got to go, we get really busy writing them up.
Yeah.
You know, this next time they're late, boom. The next time they talk back to da-da, boom. And then it's the third time, and it's like, that. What Jason said is key. I've warned you that your job is in jeopardy. We learned that very early on. That's important, or else they're going to win.
Because people have changed for the better too.
Yes,
So
it
you
has
could be
worked.
you could be surprised.
Has worked both ways.
All right, cool. Thank
If you really bring the gauntlet down, can work both ways.
you. Thank you.
So how do you encourage your employees? Because I would assume that you would take their opinions seriously and their concerns or compliments to your business. So how do you encourage them to communicate with you guys openly about? Because I mean, talking to your boss can be intimidating.
So I have a quick anecdote or something that would illuminate. So we always say our best ideas come from within. That's probably something that a million companies say. So what we do is we do something about their ideas. I'll give you a completely off-the-wall example. We had an employee still with us, this is years ago, Vel, and she said, you know, I read somewhere we serve beers with our haircuts. I read somewhere that beer is good for your hair. Idea. Okay. well, we're going to do a leave-in conditioner Shiner Bach wash treatment. We put a whole bunch of creative behind it. Created this whole thing that you come in, complimentary Shiner Bach washes. I think maybe 3 people did it ever of all time. It got in every paper, it was all over the internet and all this stuff, and it's Vel's idea. And we did it, and who did it hurt? Actually, it was the best, most viral thing we've ever done. And that is so encouraging to everybody else that, oh my gosh, Vel had that silly idea about the beer. I could have my silly idea about anything. So really embracing a silly idea, it doesn't have to be silly, but things that nobody would think that you would act on and acting on them, it's like actions are louder than words, big time. So
But to counter that, people don't.
That's how we work.
People don't speak up as much as we'd like them to. We've done a lot of things. We've created, email addresses, and we said, create a fake Gmail account and email me what's really on your mind, like if you want direct access to us, or they always have access to Michael and I, and nobody. Every meeting I've ever been to, I beg people to email me with their honest opinions, their thoughts, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and I get very little of that. So it's important to listen the best way that you can, whether it's pulling for us, our receptionists, which we call shop managers because they're like managers. We pull a receptionist and just try to hear from them what they're hearing and cut through what's good and what's not, who has ideas, what's not, you have to do, there's a lot of effort involved, because what I find is that there are a few that want to speak out. Some people have nuts ideas and you say, that's interesting, we can't do that. But for the most part, I find people don't want to speak up. And in a salon where everyone's very chatty, but they clam up when it comes to like putting forth ideas. So it's a lot of effort to listen and try to get what's happening. It's a very simple business that I'm in the service business, right? So there's not a lot of ways to go off the rails. So we just try to listen. And then when we hear something like the Bach wash or anything that we're doing wrong, bigger,
customer service, like going above and beyond when someone hits their head and like what
Right. Well, that's a typical kind of a culture kind of idea where we encourage people to. The greatest example is what happened at United, right? Ripping a passenger off and beating him up. I was like, that would never happen here because we're not in. I can't imagine a scenario. But I was like, if the rules told you to rip somebody out of a chair and hit them, please don't do that. You don't have to do that if you really think that's wrong or if that doesn't follow the barber code, which is unity and inclusiveness and all this kind of stuff. And so, because sometimes people can get really deep into policy and not be able to extract themselves. You have those employees too who are super duper company people who love it, but they also follow the letter of the law. And those people are fantastic, but sometimes we're in the service business, they can't break apart so that we don't have issues like that. So, it's lots of coaching and just being present. Michael and I come to work every day. That's another thing too. So we've been doing this for 11 years and we're still energized by it. And even if we weren't, but we're there every day, so we're present. And that alone, I think, helps drive the business along. So if there was a lot of absenteeism and weird stuff happening we're here, so we hear it. But that you have to do. You have to be there. We don't visit as much as we should, but we come to work every day to our office, and we work in the back of a barbershop. So we walk through, and then we go to and we visit the other barbershops. So
we do it a lot by getting haircuts.
We're there. Yeah.
That's like
Get a haircut.
well, because you don't want to go in and be like, yeah, I'm here. What's wrong here? So we try to integrate it into like having to do something there.
Yeah. I take my kids to get haircuts at different shops.
Taking your kid, whatever. So
Face.
just management while walking around.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.